I feel so enriched already. I feel like, I don't know who I have in the convention with. I feel like I've already had my gathering. I don't even know where the rest of the room for the rest of the days will come from. But I have to enlarge. I have to enlarge so that I have room for more. And can we just celebrate Papa Kilo for that incredible session? Papa Kilo, you are such a gifted teacher. And I tell you this all the time, you are such a gifted teacher. And every time I sit under your feet, I feel like I'm ready to do something different. So thank you so much. Hey, I want to lead us in a different session just for a little while. As Papa Kilo has said, Pastor M kind of led us with a heart, Papa Kilo with the hands, and I want to do this kind of like in a head session. It's a very different type of session. And it really is to help us think through, as Papa Kilo said, hey, when we get to this place where we're 100, 200, 300 churches, what will we look like? What will our brand in particular look like? So I want to have a conversation with us for the next few minutes just about our brand. Do you have, thank you for that, but do you have my slides? All right, thank you. I want to ask you a question as we get started, and I know people who are facing that side, and if you can be able to just turn your chair so I'm not looking at your back as we go along, if that's possible. No, we are still eating. But I have a question for you really quickly. The next slide asks the question, and the question is, what is your favorite brand? Either local or global. What's your favorite brand? Just ask someone next to you really quickly. What's your favorite brand? You think brands, whether it's a local brand or a global brand, what's your favorite brand? Please ask someone, make sure no one is left out. Ask someone next to you, what's your favorite brand? Whether it's a local brand in your country, Pastor Aliku, whether it's a local brand in your company, whether it's a global brand that you think this is a good brand I look up to. Keep my eye on time. All right, just shout out some of them. What did you hear? What did you say? Hey, Air Jordan. All right, those are aspirations you had as a child have now been fulfilled. Air Jordan, Shout out something. Kiwi. Why Kiwi? But Kiwi is a strong brand, isn't it? It really is a strong brand. You said? Oh my goodness. There are some aspirations people have here that their pastors need to know about. Someone here said Ferrari. Come on now, I love it. Samsung. All right. McDonald's. Umekula McDonald's wewe? Umekula wapi? All right. No. I know you will travel far and wide. Pastor Murithi? Toyota. Because every car, what do they say? Every car, the car in front of you is always a Toyota. Come on, people of Ferrari. Some other brands? Okay, Hey, we are, now guys are getting deep. This is a good brand, guys. Johnny already said, M-Pesa. That I think is a brand and it's also his love language. It's both of those at the same time. Thank you, Pastor Nash. Some others? Adidas. Sijaskia. Hey. La Roche-Posay. Can I tell you, by the way, I've seen the brand and I have no idea what it is. It's a town in France. Okay, over there. Cafe Javas. Why Cafe Javas? You love the? You love the brand. Love the brand. Hey, well done. I can go back to the front now. I think my work is done. Fearless by Mavuno. Well done. Well, let me put up a couple of brands up on the screen. Some local, some international brands that I think are very well kind of respected. Coke, Arsenal. You see even Arsenal. Even here I put you number 2. But let me move on. No, I'm sorry. Hey. All right. MTN, is MTN a good brand in Uganda? It's a strong brand. It's a well-recognized brand. BMW, no one said BMW, but Ferrari is, BMW. Receive. I don't see you receiving. I'm not hearing anyway. KFC, KCB, Bata. You know Bata is a global brand. It's easy to think that Bata is a brand from your local country. Yeah? I, for many years, thought Bata was a Kenyan brand. Really. It's a very, very old brand, actually. It's almost like 100-year-old global brand. Now, I put up some other brands. These ones are interesting because they've got no names on them. But the moment you see them, you know what they are. The first one? The second one? Did you all know Airtel? Okay, Airtel. Third one? And you have to say, and you said Netflix, you have to say, doo-doom, Netflix. So the third one is? The third one is? Doo-doom. You guys are not following me. Okay, the fourth one? All right. And then? Chicago Bulls, Nike, Shell, MasterCard, TikTok. All right. So those are some of those. And the last one? Oh, well done, well done. Thank you. Receive 2 BMWs now. One for you, one for your husband. Surely, how would you do ministry in Diani? So these are well recognized. And it's interesting because, like these ones, for instance, no one needs to tell you what they are. You look at it and you know instantly this is what it is. Now, brands, it's interesting because these brands didn't start like that. All brands start, as small organizations, small entities, small organisms. The next slide tells us about a couple of those. Apple, we know the story. It was started by 2 college dropouts way back in 1971. People say in a garage, but actually started in a bedroom is where it started. Netflix was started by 2 guys who got tired of, was there anyone who remembers borrowing video cassettes? Just look around your table and just see who is Gen Z and who is Gen C. There's Gen C and Gen Z. But there was a brand called Blockbuster. Anyone know Blockbuster? And people used to borrow, video cassettes and then DVDs from Blockbuster. And they got tired of paying late fees. And as a result, then they began this service. And initially, Netflix started it's kind of like a delivery service. So you call from your home, and it's DVD by mail is how it started. KFC, I think we know the story. A 62-year-old man, he had been in the profession, but he starts this organization, and now KFC, you see that bucket anywhere you go and you know what it is. I wonder if he knew when he began the brand, if that's what it was going to look like at some point. L'Oreal was started by a chemist. Do you know that, by the way? It was actually a chemist who was playing around with different chemicals to dye hair. It was kind of like in his free time. He was a chemist, he did serious things. Not because hair is not serious, ladies, but he was started by a chemist many, many, many years ago. Bata was actually started in Czechoslovakia. Someone say Czechoslovakia. A nation that doesn't even exist anymore, but it was started more than 100 years ago by 2 brothers in Czechoslovakia. Now, the next slide is that most global brands start small, but have a big vision. Wow. Most global brands start small, but have a big vision. Chinese proverb says, let me say it in English. The man who removes a mountain, it's because you guys don't speak Mandarin. Let me just translate. But there will be a day you will plant a church, a Mandarin-speaking church. The man who removes a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. So it's stone by stone. And this is the story of how brands start. So let's talk about our brand then. And our brand, we know our vision is, our mission. Our mission is? And our mission, our vision. Did the person next to just say 2035? All right. It's interesting. I listened to Pastor M speak earlier about the early days of Mavuno. I remember because in 2006, I joined the staff of Mavuno Downtown. We used to do our staff meetings together with Mavuno. At that time, they were kind of like separate entities. And I remember one of the meetings I went for, and I heard Pastor M give an iteration of this. What did we used to say before a movement? Our vision was to plant a culture. And I remember listening, and we were in a boardroom. We were in the boardroom somewhere in South Sea, in a little tiny room. I don't know how many we were. We can't have been more than 10 people. And I remember Pastor M talking about planting churches to the ends of the earth. And me just sitting there and looking at Pastor M and thinking, okay, what is there a war chest for this? Is there what is the strategy for this? It was difficult for me, and I loved how he talked about that God gave him this big vision. And today, here we are just as campus pastors. It's an incredible thing. I can't wait to see what the Lord is going to do in the next 2-3 years. Whether we'll be able to fit in the dome, whether campus pastors will have to go to Nyayo Stadium, and I don't know what will happen. Metaverse. There you go. I have no idea what that will look like in the days or the years to come. But here's the question. Papa Kilo set it up well. Is as we continue planting churches, we will plant churches where? Tell me some nations. Pastor Sombo has held on to Monaco. May the Lord hear your cry for many years. To UAE. Some cities, huh? Some discipleship is required there. Czechoslovakia. But my point is this: as we continue planting churches, how do we make sure that we are still one organization? But also, how do we make sure that we still have one brand? Because it's easy for us to be able to manage it now at the number. Even now we are struggling as we are. But what will it look for us in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, for someone to go and plant a church in Czechoslovakia, which is now the Czech Republic or the Slovak Republic, and then have to figure out how do I remain the same? How do I remain the same? What is the essence of this thing that we are planting? Next slide. Then ask the question: how do we ensure that we are building? Before that, how do we ensure we are building one strong brand? Now, I like this. Okay, it's all right. Just go ahead. That's fine. You can move on. So it's interesting for me. I took off the logo off of the first one there, but we know what that is. What is that? I actually took off the logo. I kind of just scratched it out on that. But it's so interesting because for anyone who's a sports fan or a football fan, or you are married to one, you will look. If you met someone in Finland wearing that shirt, you would know who they are, wouldn't you? You would just know instantly, this person probably supports the Gunners, probably supports Arsenal, much to their detriment, but they do it nonetheless. This long suffering is spread out across the world. It's a... But I am also a... What are you laughing at? I'm a football fan, thank you. I'm a sports fan, actually. But the thing is, anywhere you go in the world, when you see that bucket, you know exactly what it is, don't you? Anywhere you go. If you are driving in Greenland and you saw the third one, you would know exactly what that is, isn't it? You would. Now, let me ask, how many people are wearing any merchandise that is branded, that's a Mavuno branded merchandise? Please stand if you're wearing any branded merchandise. Anything, whether it's a hat, whether it's a jacket, if you've taken it off, you can put it back on or hold it. It's far less than I thought. Actually, if you don't mind, let me just humor me for a second. Huh? Are they socks? Is that what they are? Okay. Just humor me for a second. Can I invite you just to come to the front for just for a moment? Let me sure you can wait. Hold this. Let me invite you just to come to the front. Just stand in a line. I want to illustrate something for you guys really quickly. Yeah? So remember the slide that's up on the screen. So remember what I told you. If the Lord opens a window for you and you go to an exotic country like Saudi Arabia, thank you, and you met a guy in that jersey up there, you would know who he is, wouldn't you? You'd know he's long suffering. Now, or faithful. Actually, that's a better word. He's faithful. He's committed. Now, let's just look across. What do you see? We see a fearless influencer. Thank you so much. What else do we see? Unshakable. Many? You see many. Okay, you see many. So here we have, I don't even know. Let me just put your hand down. We have fearless. Oh, that's good. Fearless, unshakable. I am a fearless influencer, unshakable. Limitless, fearless, unshakable. Hii imetoka wapi? That's not Mavuno, by the way. I've never sanctioned that one. No. That one just says unshakable, but it's nothing to do with Mavuno. I am a fearless influencer. You, what do you have? Ropes. Just show us the ropes. Aha, okay, thank you. Fearless. Discovery. Oh, no, the heart. Sorry. Thank you so much. You can have your seats. Thank you so much. So next slide, the question we're trying to figure out then is, how then do we build one brand? Because what has happened is, as we've kind of like grown, we've multiplied in different ways, into different countries, which we didn't have at the beginning, into different networks, which we didn't have at the beginning. We've created new experiences. So Pastor Manu was wearing ropes. We didn't have that at the beginning. And as we grow, the question is, what does all of this mean for us from our brand perspective? Next question I want to ask you is this. What are some things that when you see or hear, you know that is Mavuno Church? Okay, so one thing you hear is when someone says, so if you had fearless somewhere, you might think Mavuno. Otherwise known as the logo. Thank you so much for breaking it down. The M with the circle and the wings and two words under it. All right, so you see the logo, you think Mavuno Church. You hear fearless, you think Mavuno Church. What else? Ndoa. So you may come across one of our experiences, so Ndoa or Simama or one of those, and you think Mavuno Church. I'll come to you. DG. So you think, if someone talks about DGs or discipleship groups, that may make you think Mavuno. The color. Which color? Wait, which color? Wait, which color? Can we come back to that? Can I put a pin on that? We come back to that. All right, Orange and white. Okay. So, hey, well done. Thank you for owning that. So Campus Trend, Unchurched, Pastor M, Fearless Influencer, a few more. Mizizi. So all our experiences. Who is your discipler? Who is your discipler, and are they here? It says unmute your microphone. Okay, just video on. Just a few more. 1 here and 2 there. Family night. Mavuno Kids. Mavuno Kids. All right, that's very unique. Thank you so much for sharing that. I would never have thought of that. Pastor Rocky? Okay, so MYF. So I want to take us just through a few things, and maybe just a way for us to think about some of these things. Now, this is by in no means exhaustive for our brand, but just an initial conversation for us. 5 things. Number 4 will shock you. So our brand name, our campus names, our brand identities, our brand extensions, and our merchandise. So really quickly, I want to take us through those first things. So the first one is our brand name. Now before that, you got this. What's our brand name? Mavuno Church. That's a really good thing, because if you go to the next slide, in 3, 4, which side are we going? Okay, as Papa Kilo saying, next. The arrow facing this side. All right, it's all right. As he loaded in a bit. Let me just say, it may seem intuitive that our brand is, but what do we call it? What's the difference between Mavuno and Mavuno Church? One is harvest, one is the organization. More practically, a feeds company. Anyone else? What's the difference? You know, it's intuitive for you because you have sat here for a long time. And it's already entered your mind. When you say Mavuno, you know what it means. But I just went to, go to the next slide. I just went online to see what, by the way, I just typed in the search engine, Mavuno, to see, other than Mavuno Church, what will show up. There was Mavuno Tech, there was Mavuno Fertilizers, there was Mavuno Harvest, which I think is an agricultural organization, I think. There's a plan called Mavuno Plan by Pioneer Assurance, so I found that there. There's MavunoMinistries.com, and very interestingly, I found Mavuno of Ohio dispensaries in the US. It's actually a line of dispensaries called Mavuno of Ohio. Now, you just picture this, that the Lord sends you to Ohio to plant a church. And you call your church. Now, we're meeting where? We're meeting at Mavuno. Where will people go? Mavuno of Ohio dispensaries. So the first thing to say is, we need to be, let me hold that. But we need to be careful with our brand name, especially as we grow. That as you're having conversations with people, that you're saying to us, and I'll tell you why. Because you've been in Nairobi, you know Mavuno Church. People know Mavuno Church. I don't know how strong the brand is in Uganda. Of course, if you ask the campus pastor, she's like, it's the strongest brand. Forget MTN. Mavuno is the strongest brand. How about in Kigali? It's a strong brand. Oh, well done. In Germany? Just speak up. Just stand. What is interesting is? Indiani, go ahead. So Harsh is even saying Mavuno Church. When you say Mavuno Church, not even just Mavuno. Now, let me proceed just for a second and go to the second thing, which is our campus names. I have a question for you. Next slide. Are we having a delay? Okay, it's all right. Who leads Mavuno Berlin? Jesus. Woo! Come on, Boogie. Jesus. Hey. Who has Jesus sent as the primary shepherd of Mavuno Berlin? Who's the pastor of Mavuno Berlin? Pastor Boogie? No, you're wrong. Who's the pastor of Mavuno Berlin? Pastor Daniel? You're wrong. Who's the pastor of Mavuno Berlin? Pastor Muridi Wanjao? You're also wrong. It doesn't exist. What's the next slide? Nobody. There's actually nobody, because the name of the organization is. Now, let me tell you, again, this may seem very intuitive for you. But as we multiply, if we are faithful to the things that we have learned today and we multiply, what will happen is, you in your mind, you assume that everyone understands when I say Mavuno Karen. But one day someone is going to open a dispensary, Mavuno of Karen dispensaries. And when you say Mavuno Karen, no one will understand what that is. Now, I want to say to us, the campuses that we lead are all Mavuno Church. Every campus that you are in is Mavuno Church. Let me ask you, if you went to Quickmart supermarket chain here, where do you say you've gone? Have you gone to Quickmart Buruburu? Is that where you say, I've gone to Quickmart Buruburu? Or I've gone to Quickmart Rongai? What do you say? Important for us to understand the church you lead and the church you are part of is Mavuno Church. That is the name of the church. Now, to help us distinguish internally, then you are given a tag so that I become Mavuno Church Lavington or Mavuno Church Gateway, Mavuno Church. But the brand that we are working with is Mavuno Church. Now let me tell you, by the way, again, this is intuitive for you because you're in the room and you've been here. But for some people, Mavuno Church is where? Is Hill City. There are many people that we're reaching out to. You say Mavuno Church, so we are going to Mavuno Church. Hill City is not Mavuno Church. Hill City happens to be one campus of Mavuno Church, but Hill City also happens to be the headquarters of our global movement. Pastor Muridi, the senior pastor, is not Mavuno Church. The executive pastors are not Mavuno Church. It's important we begin to see that you are Mavuno Church. Now, one of the things that I've insisted on at Lavington, for the people who are there, I want to say, welcome to Mavuno Church, Lavington. But it's always Mavuno Church. Now, there are campuses that have had different names through the years. The other day I was chatting to someone and they told me I'm going to MDT. That brand needs to die. Because if we continue with brands like that, what will happen is over time it will just cause confusion. It will cause incredible confusion. I want to challenge you with your own campus. That what you say whenever you're at your campus is that this is welcome to Mavuno Church. That you are Mavuno Church, not just Mavuno Ruiru or Mavuno 360. That the brand of the church is. So, wherever you are, that is Mavuno Church. Wherever you go, you represent Mavuno Church, the brand. So, next slide. Repeat after me. Say it loudly. Yes, I am from Mavuno Church. Now, before we go to the next that sounds like I'm from Mavuno Kids. Before we go to the next slide, and your campus. Next slide. Now tell someone the name of your campus. So, first two things there are the brand name is Mavuno Church. Repeat that wherever you go. Never ever print somewhere Mavuno Berlin. That church does not exist. Never print Mavuno Kampala on anything. Don't put it even on a slideshow, because we need to be able to make sure that we are securing our brand. Let me move on to the third thing. So talk about our campus name, our brand name, our campus name. Third thing is what we call our brand identities. Now, our main brand identity is what? Thank you, Papa Kilo. But our main, it's the logo. It's the Mavuno Church logo. Is the primary brand identity that we have. And this logo resolves in two colors. This logo resolves in two colors. So just look at the things people are wearing near you to make sure that we know, does this thing resolve? So I put for you I don't know, I'm going back to Arsenal. Oh, no, let me go to KCB. If I put for you the KCB logo and it was in orange, that's not KCB, is it? If I put for you MTN and it was in purple, our logo, just to go back to the logos, our logo, just really quickly, resolves in those two colors. And we've got two types of logos. Now, next slide. Let me just tell us really quickly how to use and how not to use our logo. And let me just tell you, by the way, as I visit campuses, there are times I feel like crying tears. Should I mention the name of your campus? The people, they know I've not been to their campus. They're like, yes, mention. Let me not mention, but these are things I have seen. So first thing is, don't change the color of the logo. It resolves in two colors, black and white. The second thing, and this one, I see it all the time. Do not change the typeface or the font of the logo. Another one that's not up there is, let me just say, just go to the previous slide. That is the logo. That logo has a number of elements. All those elements together are the logo. If you remove the copy at the bottom, that's not our logo. It's important that I say that to us. If you remove the copy at the bottom, that's not our logo. So if you have the KCB lion without the words KCB, that's just a lion, a stray lion. It's just a stray, run, that's a stray lion. That is not KCB. So next, just go back to the next slide really quickly. I just want to rush through these slides. So don't remove the copy. I've seen that in many of our campuses. Don't change the type font, don't rearrange it. And I've seen this also in a couple of our campuses where there is, your designer becomes creative with it. Don't allow creativity. There's one logo, stick to it. I don't know if you can see there, we say don't add gradient onto the logo because it resolves in black and white. So don't add gradient where it's blue at the top and red at the bottom so you can be from Lifeway and from the downtown network. It's just like a couple other things. Don't place it against busy backgrounds. Don't squash or stretch. Do not rotate it, please. And this is an important one for us as well, is don't change the campus font. How many campuses are guilty? Many campuses are guilty of doing that. I see it all the time. Mavuno Church is this size, and then the campus name is this size. Because I want people to know my campus. This is why I was telling you, who are you? That's why Mavuno Church is prominent. Because that's what the brand is. So many campuses, and yours may be guilty of changing the typeface on it. Please don't do that. Keep it as is. This is what the typeface looks like. That's what the typeface looks like. The fonts are particular. The positioning is particular. Is there another one? There's another one. So Mavuno Church Kigali, next slide. Mavuno Church Downtown. That's what it looks like. Keep it that way so that we are able to have, so people know I'm coming to Mavuno Church. One of the things I want to say is, and I'll talk about this on a different slide, our allegiance, finish the sentence for me, is to the Hill City Network. We'll come to that in a minute. Okay, so let me move on to, we'll talk about brand identities. The next thing, real quick, is our movement colors. And those are our movement colors. Now, our movement colors, we are in an interesting season, I must admit, and we need to kind of figure this thing out, especially because, by the way, I'll get you a brand guide that has all the information that you need. You'll have it soon. But we're an interesting season because as we have multiplied campuses and networks, our movement color has begun to disappear. Isn't that true? It's kind of begun to disappear. The next slide now has the network colors. And it's easy for me to be committed to my network. So when someone comes to your church, the ushers are in green. You've printed green t-shirts with the Mavuno logo on them. And it's still Mavuno, is it not? It's still Mavuno Church. It still is. But you know, the people on the inside know that. The person who's come for the gathering or come for one of these things and seen orange, when they come, they wonder, is this like a faded, is this a different version? Is this Mavuno light, Mavuno? Is this a different version of Mavuno? Change the version. So it's important for us to remember, and I'll come again to that when we're talking about the merchandise. But just a reminder for us, our colors. Actually, our colors are black and orange primarily. Our other color has been white, and it still remains white, even though it was, graciously donated to the Hill City Network. donated. But it's still, those are still our primary colors. What I want to say is, the more that we grow, the more that we print, the more that we create merchandise and branding and banners and things like that, the more confusion we are going to bring to our brand if we don't stay true to what was on the previous slide. Black and orange. So, next slide. Our first allegiance is to the movement. I'm trying to make the point, you are from Mavuno Church. You are not from the downtown network. And you're not from Mavuno Lifeway. You're from Mavuno Church. Our first allegiance is to the movement and to the global brand. So we're not Mashariki, we're Mavuno Church. Orange and black remain primary. Now, what does this mean for us? Because we come to the gathering, and when we come for the gathering over the next couple of days, people will come in different colors. Is that not true? Yeah. Now, I want to say, whenever we mass produce, we must produce in the colors of the movement. Whenever we mass produce. Now, if you're printing for smaller group for a particular purpose, don't mass produce. So a smaller group could be, I'm printing, and maybe I should have done this slide a little bit later, that slide a little bit later. But I'm printing for Ndoa, for instance. Or I'm printing for my campus as we go for the gathering. Now, that's a smaller group. But if you're thinking of mass producing, I want to encourage us that we go back to our brand colors. That the priority becomes the brand colors. Because as we become 100 churches, in fact, someone came to me today and said that there may be a new network being born and they want a new color. And I'm just like, obviously we'll figure that out for things like the gathering, but it's important that our brand doesn't get lost as we kind of fight with each other. Us guys are from the blue network, so we are all in blue. I think there are certain occasions for that. But by and large, it's important for us that we retain the fidelity to our brand and to our colors. Our other logos, let me just rush us through this. I'll be done shortly. So please, as I take us through these, I want to say to us, please, I beg, please, do not create your own logos. I have also seen this. Let me tell you, by the gathering and fearless, I cried tears behind the tent, by the way. I just look around. I remember going for let me not say which gathering. I went for one. I even just took pictures of people's jerseys. I was just like, let me just take a picture of this one, picture of this one. I just went home and cried. I was like, oh my goodness, this brand is dying. Please do not change the logos. Do not edit. Do not think I want older children or I want more children in the logo. Keep as is. I don't know if you guys know, the next logo is our MYF logo. I don't know how many people know how this logo came to be. Maybe Pastor Grace may. I don't know if she remembers. This logo was a completely unsanctioned logo. It's, who said yep? Who remembers? It was a completely unsanctioned logo. Some people came up with a logo. They liked it. Before long, they printed T-shirts. They printed hoodies. The name of the thing just slowly began to change. And our teens church was called? No, after that it was called? After Mavuno Teens. It was actually called Mavuno Teens. And so this logo, so it kind of just entered through the back door and we said, okay, now we'll just keep you. You are stray, but we'll just keep you. Okay, no, that's the wrong way of saying it. But it's become one of our logos now. Let me just walk us through some of the others. They may seem intuitive again to us. Next slide. We actually have logos for these things, people. We actually have logos for them. But as I look at campuses across, everyone recreates because there's a font that you like, there's a way that you like how it looks. Now we are in the process, and I'm going to talk about this when I talk about fonts. We're in the process of reworking all these logos, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But please maintain these logos, because if everybody does a different Mizizi logo, someone will travel to your country and wonder which one is this. Is this a different experience from what I had seen somewhere else? Let's keep going. Is there another one? Okay. Morning prayers, campus trend, family night, spread the love, DG, the gathering. Do you see how many properties we have? and how it's very easy for us to create 20 brands. Which one is not here? Ropes. We actually have a logo, Pastor Emmanuel, for ropes. There's actually a logo for some reason I forgot to put it here. Is there another slide or is this Simama, Fearless Institute, Fearless Summit? So we're actually in the process of reworking all the logos to help us unify our brand. I'm hoping by the time that we get back together for the next gathering that we actually will have some of these logos available. We've recently created some new ones. This is for the Mavuno Prosperity Unit, Fearless Family Cooperative, Fearless Business Network, Fearless Business School, are some that have just been created more recently. Let me move on. I'll come back to this in just a bit. Let me move on. The next thing, and I have two more, is our brand, what we call our brand extensions. Our brand extensions, there are a number of things there. Next slide. It's up. Huh? Brand icons. What are brand icons? These are our brand icons. Now, I'll talk about them in just a little while. Brand icons, our fonts. Here are some things that what I'm trying to say is, these are extensions of our brand. The idea is when you see them, you should think Mavuno Church. That's what I mean. So if you see a brand icon somewhere, chances are you'll think, oh, that's Mavuno Church. Our fonts, I'll talk about that. Our what we call design footers, our slogans, our corner fold, and our slide deck. Let me just walk us through them really quickly. So our brand icons, we actually have those, and we've been using them for the past couple of years. What we've never shared with you is what these icons mean. Allah, you've been waiting? Have you been asked questions? Is this like Chinese? Is this witchcraft? No, they're just icons. And the idea is that they represent different things for us. I'll just walk us. There are 6 of them. I'll represent kind of like how we use them. Next slide. So that first one really represents worship, prayer, Bible reading. What did you think I was going to tell you? You had no idea. Huh? The sun. Oh, that's why everyone is doing this. So that's what that represents for us. That second one, we are actually using it now for our Mavuno Prosperity Unit. Is what we are using it for. The third one represents for us outreach. It's going out, the things that go out. So outreach, missions, spread the love, church planting. Wait first. Please go back. The last one there represents worship experiences. And as we've done the loop through the years, we've always done the experiences in a box, isn't it? And the idea is this represents the different spaces. So adults, college, youth, and kids. Then the next 4 is community. The first one there is community. So DGs, MCs, zones. The next one is influence. And the idea is that influence goes outwards. Family, workplace, society. The other one is network. So, fearless network, church partnerships, any networks that we create, the idea is that it's that mesh network. And then the last one is just our different teams that are serving within the different communities. So our associate teams. Are you understanding? So if someone asks you about witchcraft, you know now it's not witchcraft. It's not Chinese. It's not tribal print either, but they actually do represent something. There are a couple of others that we're going to be adding in a little while, but I'll get to that. Let me tell us then how we use these icons. There are a couple of ways. One is we use them. Now, just go back. The idea is that even though they represent different things, it doesn't mean that we use the circle exclusively for community. We use the icons as well creatively in different spaces. So one of those spaces is the next slide, which is in our headers. In fact, you can see at the very top, brand icons. And the idea is that if you ever saw a presentation and the heading had one of those icons, you think to yourself, Mavuno Church. So those a couple of ways. Then we have what we call our footers. Within headings also. Within headings, okay, next slide. So we've also used that creatively. So if you have signage, for instance, and you want to use one of those icons as a letter, the idea is as soon as someone sees it, someone thinks that's Mavuno Church. That's who we are. The next one is, this is very important. It's used as a full strip. Someone say full strip. It's used as a full strip on the back of merchandise. That from behind someone can look and see there's a logo, but there's something there that represents Mavuno. Now, I want to say, this strip, let me see yours. Does yours have the strip? It does, eh? Okay, it has a full strip. So what I've seen is I've seen people put half the strip. I've seen people put one icon, and I've seen people remove the strip altogether. Our merchandise, the back of our merchandise, has the Mavuno logo and the full strip. Any merchandise that you print that is Mavuno merchandise. Now, there may be other merchandise that, like say Fearless Summit. Fearless Summit, like what Pastor Muridi is wearing, will have the Fearless Summit logo. I assume it has that. Does it have it? Okay, it has this strip. Oh, here's a great example. What's that? Unshakable. So there was some brand confusion there because Limitless is a Fearless Summit identity. Whereas the strip is. But in the event that you are, the idea is that the Fearless Summit logo goes on the back of that. Anything that's Mavuno. So Fearless, the idea is that it's not blank at the back. It has the logo and it has the full icon strip. Are we getting it? Another way is please do not use the strip vertically. And please do not break the strip. So you either use one icon or you use the thing vertically as a full strip. So the next slide, I think was someone who made merchandise here. What that does, it creates clutter. It becomes very cluttered when we do that at the bottom. And I've seen some t-shirts. Does yours have the strip? Yours has the strip, and then it has 4 of them. So the idea is you use one or you use the full strip. Make sense? One icon. One of the, like the way that it's used there at the top, next to brand icons. No. So let me just repeat what I'm saying. If it's for merchandise, the back of the merchandise has the logo and the strip. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, generally with the use of our icons, wherever you're using it, it's either as a full horizontal strip or as one icon. So don't use 2 icons, don't use 3 icons. It's either one icon or the full strip. Because it creates clutter, because they're all kind of like going in different directions. Now, I'm almost done. Let me just share a couple more things. Another one is our fonts. This is something I don't think we've ever really, kind of spoken about. But there's a font that we use, and that font family is called Pantone. And that's the entire family of Pantone. Have you seen Pantone? Have you seen it on Mavuno signage, for instance? So the idea is as you're printing, so if you're doing signage, if you're doing banners, if you're doing any of that, our primary font that you want people to be able to see and know, that's Mavuno. If everybody uses the font that they like and that's creative, what happens is we create dilution. So we have a primary and then we have a secondary family of fonts. Again, I'll share the brand guide with us so that we are able to manage this. So that's our primary font. It's called Pantone. Download that onto your machine if you're doing morning prayers or whatnot. If you see my presentations, I always use 2 fonts. Pantone, which is a font at the very top there. And then we've got 2 other fonts that we use for our copy. Quickly, let's move on. I'm almost done. We have a font called, I don't know how to pronounce it, Bebas Neue or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it French? Huh? Bebas? Bebas Neue. How will we know you're telling us the truth? We have no idea. Bebas niwewe. Or the one that we use a lot is called glacial indifference. So if you want to be able to be consistent with the brand, those are some of the things that we use. And then I think the final thing in that one is our final two things is our design footers. You've seen these. So we call them our footers. Our footers go at the bottom of presentations. They go at the bottom of slide decks. They go at the bottom of graphics as well. And the idea is as soon as someone sees that thing at the bottom, they know that's Mavuno Church. That's the only other place where we kind of break up because we have 4 on one of them. It's the only other place that we do that. The other thing really quickly is actually, I don't even know where that came from. Huh? I don't know where, just go back. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to do it from here. There's one here that says young and ordinary, fearless. I don't actually know where that came from. Yeah, this is now how we create brand dilution. So what we'll do is we'll share with you the footers. So please don't create your own. Yeah, young with swag. Fearless, even more fearless influencer. Fearless impact. Please don't create them. We'll share them with you. I think that's actually an error. It should not be there. It's all ordinary people, fearless influence. Whether it's kids, teens. Okay, let me just move along quickly. Our slogans is another thing that we try to keep: fearless influencer, home of the fearless, ordinary people, fearless influencer. And then we have this thing, even before you move to the next slide. Okay, well, it's fine. Our corner fold. We call it our fold. So we normally put that at the top right of top right. It's actually just a small design thing that just attached to your attached to. Guys, what I'm trying to do is tell you, here are some ways that will help us as we are across in Mavuno Chuka, Mavuno Church Chuka, trying to figure out how do we create a brand that if someone from I don't know where, from Ruaka travel to Chuka, they'll say, oh, this is Mavuno. I've found a Mavuno church. But if we all go in different directions, it'll be very difficult for us. Okay, next one is our slide deck. We're actually in the process of reworking this slide deck. This is our presentation deck. You know what I mean? Yes. I really want to encourage us. When you're doing your Mavuno presentations, use this slide deck. Everyone is creating, and let me tell you, even me, I've become a culprit. But I want to, as much as you can, to use this slide deck. When someone comes for morning prayers and they're in Berlin and they join morning prayers, they look, they see, and they say, this looks familiar. I feel like I'm in the same place. So this is one of the things that I want to encourage us on. And then now our fifth thing, I told you 5 things. Our last one is our merchandise. Now, don't go to another slide, but let me just tell you. Our merchandise is where our brand goes to die. That's where our brand, it just goes there, it lies down, it just says, cover me, and put a tombstone. That is where our brand goes to die. So what we're going to do is share with you the brand guide, so that you know what to do and what kind of design that you can have for your campus across different things. Now, let me just say something. It's not actually on my slides. I shared with us that we've got many properties: Noah, Leah, Mizizi, Fearless Institute, Fearless Summit, and so on and so forth. And as we continue to multiply those, it's easy for us to multiply confusion with the brand. So what's actually going to happen is we are going to be working towards reimagining all of the logos around only 2 things. Someone say 2 things. One is a common font. Is a common font, which will be the Pantone family of fonts. It's a common font. The second one is our brand icons. So we're going to be reimagining our logo, all our logos around those things, so that there's a sense of continuity in our brand and there's a sense of something which is easily identifiable. Because if everybody here wore a different t-shirt branded for one of our different ministries, we are all going in different directions. So we are trying to figure out, we are also going to be increasing our line of icons so that even Fearless Summit, for instance, has an icon which is a Mavuno icon. Because currently it has wings, and they have served us very well. They have. I mean, it's a beautiful logo, I must admit. But how do we make sure that as we are growing, we are bringing things closer together and not tearing ourselves further apart? Does it make sense? So our merchandise is where our brands go to die. We must be able to align. And then again, this is what I was going to say. Please, let's prioritize movement over everything else. So we're going to be careful moving forward, even with the color of t-shirts, because like now, Papa Kilo, I don't know what color that is. It's close to magenta. Burgundy. Thank you. So, so someone is saying it's close to it's an Asian network. But we're going to be very careful now about the colors that we print, that they are movement colors moving forward. So we are able, even Pastor Ems, I don't know if that's there, because that's not the Fearless blue either. Sometimes the t-shirts you struggle to get the exact color. You got what you should say. You got it from me is what you should say. Yeah, me I got it from one of you who did the wrong thing and I passed it on. It is the serpent who deceived me. So prioritize, in all our work, prioritize the brand, the colors, the logos, and the fonts. Now, for our print merchandise, here are some logos that we've had through the years. The one that we want to retain is the first one. So it becomes iconic for us, that wherever you go. So whenever you think print merchandise, please think about, we call it the Fearless Cross is what we call it. So we've had other things as we've gone along, but we really want to retain the Fearless Cross and get rid of the rest. So there is a sense of when someone sees Fearless, it's a brand extension for us, that you get rid of the rest. However, there you go, thank you so much. However, there are, let me just see, next slide. Fearless Summit, however, has an annual ident, which is usually our theme of the year. So every year, we may do, for some reason I don't have this, I don't have the logos there, but who has, I can see Unshakable, I can see Limitless, Follow the King, nobody has that. I can see Unshakable there as well. I don't remember what other themes we've had. This year is Stronger. So those are going to be limited editions. So the idea is once the year is over, we don't print them again. So if you like the logo Unshakable, the idea is that once that season has passed, that season has passed. It's shaken. Thank you, Papa Kilo. So finally, I just want to say that my final slide is that we'll make some resources available to you. And the resources is this brand guide. We're going to make it available to you so you're able to know how to go about that. Maybe a completely different policy as well. We're going to give you a digital policy as well. That's a whole other presentation. I don't want to get into it today. But the idea there is another place where our brand goes to die is social media. Because, and I'll tell you a couple of things. One is that there is Mavuno Kigali, and then a new pastor comes and he starts Mavuno Church Kigali, and then now you've got 2 pages on Instagram and you're like, now which is which? So what is the process of doing that? You'll get a young guy who's excited. He'll come and he'll start MYF page for your church, and then one day you have a review with him, you look at him badly, he exits and he goes with the passwords. So, and some churches have struggled with that. Someone has gone with the password and you're unable to. We are struggling right now with one of our properties at the center for the password, because someone created it and someone has. So we need to figure out what are some protocols for that as well that will help us with our social media space. If you look up Discovery, say on Facebook, I don't even know how many pages there are. There was a season when every Discovery cohort would start their own page. And they would keep it active for all of 3 months. And then leave it. And then what will happen is 2 years from then, someone will go onto that page, they'll sign up for Discovery. Where can I get more information? No one speaks to them. So we will share with you a digital policy as well for that. But I think my final thing is, wherever you go, you are. Be our brand ambassador wherever you go. Someone say, I am a brand ambassador. Thank you so much for your time. I hope that has been useful. I don't know if there are any questions. That maybe there's a question here. Any other questions? Hey, okay. So let me take those 4 questions. Is there another microphone? Let me take those 5, 6 questions. Just those ones, please, if you don't mind.
So I really need clarity on the network t-shirts, because when you say prioritize movement, but then we're also saying come sit together, is it possible to say something like put on orange, but then your sleeves are the ones that show your network? I mean, like, we need to have some clarity on that, because it didn't sound very clear. It's like you're trying to encourage, but even when you say limited means what? Because everybody in downtown has many red things, huh? So, or people in South have many yellow things. What does that mean? And then number 2, in Leviticus, there are things that were declared unclean. Are there some things that are now going to be declared unclean going forward?
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Related to his question, you said that what's the number on limited? Like, you said that campuses can print a few. What's the maximum number on that?
Okay, I think it's related to that. I can take that really quickly. So here's what I'm saying. I'm not just talking about merchandise when I say prioritize movement. I'm talking about when you're at Mashariki and you want to print banners or signage. What's the color? It's orange. It's actually orange is the primary color. Is what the primary color is. So if you're printing, anything else, what I'm saying is prioritize movement. Now, when I say limited number, I mean that campuses may consider for something like the gathering, you can print for people t-shirts for the gathering, because we still do have our networks. But after the gathering, Because I just think when we are 100 churches, how will we manage this? So do we do it at network level? Do you have like a network, kind of like admin? I'm hesitant about centralizing some of those things, because if it's one email account and you are 100 campuses and someone takes off with that email or deletes everything in it, those are the risks now that we have to kind of figure out as we are growing. Guys, let me tell you, a lot of these things we have to figure out on the fly, because we've never been here before. We don't actually know. I keep forgetting. What is your second question? Oh, no. So with the fonts, it's not saying that every single thing that you produce has, so for instance, if it's a series graphic, that's the font we'll use for every series graphic. I don't think so. But I am saying that therefore there are certain things, say signage, for instance, that this becomes the font for it. Print merchandise, this becomes the font for it. Logos, this becomes the font for it. So you're not limited to it, but the idea is as much as we are able to, let's use these fonts. So when someone sees, someone thinks Mavuno Church. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I'm so grateful. I want to hand it back to our movement leader, Pastor Mureithi, to kind of close it out for us. So thank you so much.
Wow. Come on, let's give it up for Pastor Kuria and the communication team. Thank you. Wow. Man, thank you guys. You've been so patient. I know today we've really stretched you. We've had a long day, but we want to close here so at least you get a chance to go rest. The ones of you who flew in, at least kick off some of that jet lag so that by tomorrow you're a little more refreshed. Was that useful? So Pastor Kuria is going to give us, he's going to send the information. Like he says, we're going to take some of the feedback as well that you've given us today. And so by the time he's sending out the brand guide, it has included some of that. If something comes to your mind and you remember it, it's David K, right? David K. David, like David, K at mavunochurch.org. So anything that you remember or you have questions, you can send directly to him. And Wangeshi K, that's a hard one. I said David because that one you can, it spells the same in German and in Malawi. Wangeshi is a little harder. Yeah. So, guys, let's desire to expand. Let's desire to expand. Let's not just like determine by the time you come here next year for this gathering, there will be a difference. There will be a difference. Attempt great things for God. Let's assume that we're not here forever, and we're not young forever. So with the youth we have, with the energy we have, let's serve God. Let's just trust God for big things. I love when I hear about James and Madrid and the fact that you're already looking at 2 different DGs with the idea of these ones could become church plants this year. Yes, let's attempt it. It's those things where if you try and you fail, it's okay. It's okay. You tried it, it didn't work, you'll try something else. Just don't be afraid to do it. And I think what Papa Kilo gave us was the structures that really, I tell you, the thing he shared sounds so simple. Zoning, it sounds so simple, but immediately it just changes your dynamics. The minute you have 4 zones, what happens to your church? You have 4 leaders who are thinking like you. You have 4 leaders who are thinking about a quarter of the church, and it's their responsibility. Before you are losing sleep alone, now you have 5. You're 5 of you who are losing sleep. You're thinking about the whole church. Each of them is just thinking, my God, my zone has to grow. My zone has to be shepherded. What have you just done? You've multiplied a very high level of leadership in your church. So I just want to encourage us, don't take anything said today as an idea. Take it as an instruction. Do it. If you're able to say this year, and by the way, my takeout from Pastor Kilonzi's talk is, you are my 4th generation. Like, this is my 4th generation. If you're a campus pastor, you're my 4th generation, because for Pastor Kara and I, we have our network pastors. They have cluster pastors who have campus pastors. So if you're in this meeting, you're in our 4th generation. I feel like I can retire. I was like, wow. But here's the thing. I don't know if my 4th generation strategy is working well. So for me, I felt like that was my instruction. I need to make sure, because Pastor Kara and I have 5 units. We have 5 zonal pastors. I felt so much like giving myself a high five. you know. But I'm not sure if each of them has 5 solid clusters under them. And so that's going to be our job, to help them to get that. And then to help them to get the next generation. So that by the time, if you ask me, by the time we come here next year, I really want to make sure that we have solid 4 generations. So I'm going to be following up with them and following them up with their next generation. That's my takeout. And I'm praying that you have your own takeout. Maybe it's in your campus. You're thinking, okay, which are my zones? Who are my zonal pastors? Maybe you're 5 of you in the church. All right, there you go. There you're already, your zonal pastors are already there. Stop treating them as members. Start treating them now as zonal pastors. You know, you've been looking at them as consumers. Now it's like, okay, I need you to take charge of that apartment block. I need to take charge of that area. And you're the person in charge of it now. So start already thinking like a movement leader. Stop thinking like a pastor with 5 people. So I pray that as we leave this place, we are charged, we are ready, that God has already gripped our heart. By the way, if you went home with just what you have received, I believe it will be enough to make a difference. It will be enough to make a difference. But come on, somebody. God has some more stuff for us. Tomorrow is going to be amazing. And so please come in. This message, I just want you to join me in praying that God is going to really, I feel like the message of grace is one of those that people get in here and it comes out the other ear. Because our mindsets are so locked. But I feel like this stronger message, God really wants to drum it down in this gathering. And so just be joining me in prayer. Pray for miracles, signs, and wonders. Pray for healing. Pray that God would confirm His word through just showing up. I really have had so many good prophetic words about what's going to happen the next few days. And my heart is really full of expectation. So I just come in with expectation, encourage your people, charge them up, sit with them, and let's just be expectant and wait for the Holy Spirit to do something amazing. So let me bless you as you prepare for the rest. Lord, I thank you. Look at your sons, look at your daughters from all across the world. You're gathering us. I thank you, Lord, for each of these, that Father God, these are disciples who are making disciples. These are leaders. These are apostolic leaders. That, Lord Jesus, none of them appointed themselves. Many of them did not ever think they would be leading a campus. But here they are. You've appointed them. And Lord, you appointed them to bear fruit and to multiply and to fill the earth. And Father, I pray indeed that this will be true of every single one of us. That, Lord Jesus, as we love you, as we lean into loving you, as we pray for your expansion, that every one of us is going to begin to see impact beyond anything we ever dreamed. But Lord, I also pray that today you'd give us rest. I just pray that this afternoon will be such a restful time, a peaceful time. I pray that, Lord, if there are any issues from back home that have been on our minds, that, Father, you'd give us peace, complete peace, and allow us to rest, be refreshed, and ready to engage with you on this mountain of the Lord. And so, Lord, we just want to honor you and to bless you. Lord, may your peace, may your love be upon these ones. May they experience you in such a real and special way over these next few days. And so, Lord, we bless you, we love you, and we thank you. And I speak this blessing over you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen. Give your neighbor a high five. Tell them, I'm so glad to be on the same team with you. Come on. Tomorrow we have prayers at 6 a.m. in the dome. So make sure your people know. And it's going to be online as well. So get all your campuses praying as well wherever they are.